looking to have mass meetings and hangings and things of that nature, which is what we would have seen from the Taliban in the 90s.
And I suppose, Declan, then there is the fear that we are going to see then attacks in the US or Europe from them now. Is this a real fear?
Well, it's a correctly held fear, because the irony of what President Biden said, that they went in to deprive Al-Qaeda of having a base to operate from, but by pulling out the way they've done is they've given carte blanche to allow Afghanistan sink back into being a rogue state, and all the trappings of a rogue state are that they allow various disparate groups with antipathy to the West to coalesce and to conceive and plan and execute attacks on the West from there. Now, if the Taliban are clever, they won't do that, because at the moment you can see Boris Johnson across the water in the UK has been active in calling on the West to act as one and not recognise the Taliban as the leaders of the legitimate leaders of Afghanistan. But as the coming year unfolds, if they are able to hold stability and not engage in mass bloodletting, you could have a different approach.
Where governments will want to talk to them.
Well, they will. They'll
in some way.
Do they hold the reins? Are they? Look the same way Assad his regime managed to survive in Syria, because at the end of the day it was going to be more trouble and more bloodshed to oust him. But hopefully they will allow people, and hopefully we won't see the bloodletting. But do the Taliban control? Is there command and control from the top down? That is the key question here.
Very, very Declan, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Good to see you. Very much.
Now, after the break, more in the story.
Here now with more on the stories making today's headlines is Michelle Hennessy from the Journal. Michelle, you're very welcome. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
So I suppose the papers are dominated today with the Afghanistan story, and of course it's all over the headlines. But more importantly, what is the response from the Irish government? What's the plans for the refugees?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously we heard yesterday from all the top leaders in Ireland that they're very concerned. Obviously, everyone's very concerned, and their focus is really on the humanitarian side of things. I mean, we know that there was an emergency meeting of the UN yesterday, and that humanitarian side of it was very much the focus. Now, Simon Coveney, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, said yesterday that Ireland will be taking in refugees. So an additional 150 under this special programme that would mean that they wouldn't have to go into direct provision. And that's going to be very important for people who are coming over from such a difficult situation. Now 150 is, it's quite a small number when you consider just how many people. You're already talking about, the scenes from the airport of people putting their lives really on the line to try to get out, so desperate to leave the country that they were willing to cling to a moving plane that was going
as you were saying yesterday, it's actually quite difficult because there's no commercial flights. They're reliant on the EU and what they're getting, flights that they can have, that they would take a portion of those. And then he was sort of saying that hopefully a portion of those families who people are already living here. That would make sense.
Yeah, and the family reunification side of it is going to be very important, because we obviously do have an Afghan community in Ireland. I spoke to a couple of people yesterday, and they were saying that they're obviously very worried. They're hearing from family members, particularly those who have young girls, that they're concerned that will they be able to get an education going forward? Will their human rights as they grow up and become women, be impacted? And it's likely that they will be. Those people may want to leave. But it's unclear. You were talking with Declan, will those people even be able to leave? And